back for a Sketch-Timber free motion quilting sketch practice series. I am celebrating throughout the month of September with a daily sketch practice, sharing different free motion quilting designs. I believe that if you have a collection of motifs that you know how to sketch and stitch, then you can mix and match and have a lot of fun with free motion quilting. I am Andy, the face, the mind, creative chaos behind True Blue Quilts, and I'm so glad you could join me today. There are the previous, 16 or 17. I know I've missed a couple days and I apologize for that. Best of intentions. Life gets in the way, but we are here on the 18th to sketch some free motion quilting designs and just to have a lot of fun with fabric, needles, and thread. So Sunday is a big football day. The NFL kicked off last weekend, and so I know a lot of people sit in front of the TV or have the football games on in the background while they are quilting. So I have a design today that will work with that kind of football theme. So imagine a football. We've got a nice oval there. I needed to get my points a little better on the tip. So just practice that oval shape. Curve up and then symmetrical back down. So curve up and curve back down. And we've got that basic football shape. Now, I like to dress it up a little bit because anytime that you're making this oval shape, you end up back where you started, and we like to move across our quilt. So you need an extra line in there somewhere. And what I do with that is after I've returned to my starting point, I just put a little squiggle through the center. And you can use that as a football for a sports themed quilt, or, if you really wanted to make it a football, I think the laces look a little more perpendicular, so you can just stop and make that bar across your stitching line as you continue. So you could sketch an actual football if you have a football fanatic in your life that you need to do some quilting for. But I call this, with the squiggle, a coffee bean. Just stuck in my head when I began. And as you know from my previous sketches, I like to name my designs so that I can remember. It helps the memory if you have a name for something, and then I can mix and match and combine them in different areas. But the coffee bean is fun for any grid quilt. So if you have a 9 patch, and let me get that corner a little square, it will bother me. I'm going to do coffee bean in all 4 squares, obviously, or all 9 squares. Obviously, you could alternate with some other designs to really give your quilt some different texture, but I'm going to have them slant different directions. So when I start here, you can see I make my football shape and I curve through the middle, and then I'm ready to move into my next space. Once we get here, I'm going to have to travel around to this other square to keep things in line with the 9 patch pattern. And remember, we like to practice stitching in all different directions so that we're comfortable with that needle movement and we're not really worried about stopping and rotating our quilt if you're on a domestic machine. Obviously, with a long arm, you want to be familiar with drawing and stitching in all different directions. So I've got my kind of uphill slant there, and now I want to do these alternate squares with a downhill slant. So again, I'm going to start with my oval, squiggle through the middle, and I can keep traveling around my quilt as I need to get all the way around and fill all of my lines with coffee beans or footballs, as the case may be. Um, as you can see, if you alternate up and down, you could use that coffee bean motif in a border or in sashing. So again, I'm just gonna make my oval and squiggle through the middle. That gets me to a point where I can continue on through the border, however long my quilt is, however much space I need. If we wanted to do, I start sketching and I get all sorts of wild ideas. So let's say we needed to fill up uh, a single block. Starting from, I'm going to make this pattern in an X. So starting from one corner, I am going to make my oval towards the middle and continue on. And then we've got some stitch in the ditch to do as we sketch it out that way. You could make this with a little bit skinnier ovals. Let me try and do this really skinny because I want to put the plus portion of that in here too. So on your alternate axes there, you can add more stitching, and we've done a continuous line design with those coffee beans. So you have quite a variety of stitching that you can do with this shape. In this block, there's one variation that I can show you in terms of your stitching path. So you can make your curves in and out and then reverse the process, and that brings you back to the center, and same thing. So we can get two of them done with one path there. If we wanted to do all the sections at the same time, you can either start from the center and kind of get your figure eights going there through the center and make your kind of asterisk starburst looking pattern there. And of course, if you wanted to add those center lines in there as well, you could do that. Or we could bring that in from a corner. If you do it that way, then when you come back to the center, you want to build out from the center before you close that final loop. And then we've done a continuous path with all of those ovals or football shapes. So I hope you have fun sketching footballs as you watch your favorite team play today, or coffee beans are always a fun accent for 9-patch, any patchwork grid or borders and sashing. Happy quilting, and I'll see you soon.